Welcome! In the last lecture, we successfully connected these different parts together for this landscape layer process material function. Now we need to handle the last step, this mode adjustment. For the base color, we want to control its brightness, its saturation, contrast, and maybe tint it a little bit. So let's look at how we can set it up. Back to my material function, I'm going to go to this texture bump, the RGB, and first thing, I'm going to drag out this pane and type in a desaturation node. And for the fraction socket, the higher the value is, the more desaturated the texture will look. For that, I'm going to create a new function input. So type in a function input, change its name to saturation. And this input type, change it to a scalar. And for this preview value, I'm going to change it to 1. And take this use preview value as default. As for the sort priority, I'm going to go check my last sort priority. So it should be this texture bumping edge softness. This one is 50. So for this one, it should be 60. Then I'm going to flip this value. So use a 1 minus node. Connect this pin to here. Now the higher the value is, the more saturated the texture will look. And that's exactly what I want from this saturation input. Then I'm going to drag out this pin. And I'm going to bring out a power node. So I'm going to use this node to control the contrast of the base color. And for the exponent here, I'm going to duplicate this saturation. So press Ctrl+D. Then change its name to contrast. And change its sort priority to 70. And the default value of 1 is fine. Then plug this one into here. Then the next one, I want to control its brightness. So hold down M again. Connect this pin to here. Duplicate this input. Change its input name to brightness. And the sort priority now should be 80. And plug this pin into here. And last one, I want to tint this base color a bit. So hold down M again, plug this one into here. Then duplicate this function input. Then I'm going to change the input name from brightness to tint. And change the input type from a scalar to a vector 3. And for the preview value now, I'm going to change it to 1 for the R, 1 for the G, and 1 for the B. So 3 ones for the RGB, we should be able to get this white color. And the sort priority, I'm going to change it to 90. Then plug this one into this socket B. Alright, that's all the adjustment we need for our base color. And finally, we can start handling this process, the landscape layer. So first, I'm going to drag out this output node, and I'm going to drag out this pin. I'm going to cache the result. I'm going to call it cached base color output. Then I'm going to move to this output node. So for our entire landscape layer, it should contain a full material attributes. So that means it should have base color, specular, roughness, stuff like that. And to create that material attribute, there's a node we can use. So it's called set material attributes. I'm going to bring out this node. And then we can create different sockets here for us to set the material attribute. So having the node selected, I'm going to click this add button. So the first one will be this base color. I'm going to right mouse button click and bring out this base color output. Plug it into here and plug the final result to here. And just like that, we should have our process landscape layer. And in my preview window, this is what I'm seeing. And that's great. While we are handling the base color, I'm also going to handle the specular. So click this add element again and change the attribute from metallic to specular. I'm going to use our base color to drive our specular to get rid of the shiny look. And for that, I'm going to bring out a component mask. And I'm going to use the red channel coming from this base color. And before I plug this into the specular, I'm going to use a clamp node to clamp the value between 0 and 0.5. And plug the final result into the specular. If you recall, back in the previous lectures, we directly plug in a 0 to get rid of the shiny look. That's not a very accurate way for us to handle the specular. Using the values from base color is a much better way for us to do it. And I'm going to go back to this auto landscape material. Now we should be able to test this. So first, I'm going to bring out a texture object parameter. I'm going to change its name later. And directly, I'm going to plug this one into here. Since now we are outputting an entire material, we'll need to handle these output sockets differently. So having this node selected, I'm going to take this use material attributes. Then I'm going to plug this final result into here. Then click apply. And I'm going to go back to our landscape to test it. So go inside of this maps and double click to open this main map. Click Save Selected. Back to my main map, I'm going to go to this materials folder and go inside of landscape and right mouse button click to create a new material instance from this auto landscape material. Untick this change main name and click OK. Then I'm going to swap out the texture. Double click to open it. So I'm going to change this default texture to our grass texture. Bring out my content browser and go to the Megascans folder, Surfaces, Wild Grass. I'm going to fill in this wild grass texture. So click this icon to fill it in. And go back to my landscape. I'm going to swap in this material instance. So scroll down and click this icon to fill in our material instance. And this is what I get. Now if I try to fly up, thanks to our hard work in previous lectures, we don't have the tiling issue anymore. All we need to do now is to set up some extra parameters for us to take the final look of this layer. So these are the new function inputs that I just added to the landscape layer process. With their help, we can easily tweak the look of our base color texture. And for the final output of our landscape layer process, we'll need to use a set material attribute node for us to fill in data to base color and specular. And this is what my landscape material is currently looking like. Feel free to use this as a reference if you need. In the next lecture, we'll look at how we can create different parameters for this landscape layer. I'll see you in the next lecture.